Go to Sadie Miller.
Sadie Miller.
Look at that time.
Lady that got a big check in Eagle, Idaho.
They might be one of the best first barrels we've seen.
Wow, a 14 and 9.53. You step aside. There's an queen in the lead.
Nice ride, Sadie.
I better move her to number 2.
I want you to watch Sadie Miller.
Happy Chester! Welcome to a very rainy equestrian day in the life. So the first thing we are going to do is ride Chester. So I'm going to get him brushed really good. It was raining so hard, so the tin on the roof and the rain hitting it was just so loud. So this is mostly going to be a voiceover today. So I'm just going to brush him really good, and he was shedding so much. So I did this little hack with the little rubber curry. So I am going to use that to get all of the hair off that brush in between, swipes, because he was shedding so much. I know that means that longer days are here and are going to continue to get longer, which I love, but the shedding hair can be kind of annoying, and he really hates the Slick Easy, so I try to avoid it as much as I can. But I'm going to make sure I brush everywhere the saddle goes, all along his back, and where the cinch goes. So I'm going to brush under his stomach as well. And he is a horse that likes to play with something in the wash rack, so he's kind of trying to reach around and grab the cross ties. I move his lead rope for him in a minute so he can chew on that. Still having to use my little curry to get all of his hair out of my brush. I do think I kind of brushed over his butt as well, just to help get some of that hair off, because I'm sure it itches. Once I get done brushing him, brushing everywhere my tack goes, we are going to pick out his feet. Now that all of his feet are picked, and I know that there's no rocks or anything in there and all of his feet are clean, we are good to start tacking up. The first thing I'm going to do is get that saddle pad on, but as I was bringing it to him, he decided he had his own plan and he was going to take it from him. He does like toys. He likes to chew on stuff. I need to get him like a dog toy or something to put on the cross ties. I normally have him tied to the horse trailer, but right now I'm just using the cross ties because that's what we have. So he gets a lot more bored in the cross ties, I think, so I need to get him a little toy. But he stole my saddle pad and threw it on the floor, which was so sweet of him. Now that my saddle pad's on, I'm going to throw on my master saddle, make sure it's sitting good. Here I'm starting to move my lead rope to where maybe he can chew on it a little bit if he wants. There you can see he's kind of going for it. I had to help him a little bit. I eventually move it closer to his halter there. Now I can get it a little bit easier if he wants it. Now that I have the saddle sitting just where I want it and I know the cinches are the right length for him, we are going to get them done up. And I do them pretty loose in the wash rack. I don't want to make them super tight before I get on. And he's probably got a lot of air in his stomach that he is going to blow out before I go to get on anyway. So I always just do the cinches kind of loosely and we will revisit them right before we get on. Once the cinches are done, we are going to get his breast collar on. And I don't like red on red, but this is the breast collar I had on my saddle. So it's the breast collar that Chester's going to ride in today. There he is stressed because he doesn't have anything to do in the wash rack. He really doesn't like the wash rack at all. That's very apparent. But anyway, he has on this Valentine's Day Dr. Pepper breast collar because it's what I had on my saddle. Not a big fan of red on red, but you know what? He rocks it. He rocks about anything I put on him. And I have these lovely, totally matching cowhide bell boots that if you watch me, you know I pretty much practice in these all the time. Now that all of his tack's on, we are ready to get my helmet on. I always ride in a helmet now. I didn't used to, but now as I've gotten older, I do choose to do that now, especially since Chester has been on stall rest so long and he's now getting back into work. We had a few pretty western rides, but we are back to kind of his normal self. There I tightened my cinches before I got on, and don't worry, I am going to turn off that light very soon. It's just going to be annoying for a little bit. So whenever I hop on him, I'm going to really pet on him, and then I walked for probably about 10 minutes. I want to make sure he is super warm. I always want to make sure they're warm, but especially right now after he did come back from a strained suspensory, I'm not taking any chances. So we walked for about 10 minutes. I usually split it up and do 5 minutes one way and 5 minutes the other way, but just want to walk him really good before I ask him to do anything. And once I have him walked, we are going to ask for a nice sitting trot on him. That's the only trot I'm going to do on him, is this sitting trot right here. And I don't immediately grab on his head. He could have his head a lot lower, sure, but I don't want to immediately start asking for that. I want to kind of work on the speed first, and he did really good. I don't want to be asking for him to put his head down and for him to slow down at the same time. You can really only do one thing at a time. So we're going to start on that speed, and then I'll go two-handed and start working on getting that head down. And I'm going to trot for a long time, and when I go and change directions, I'm going to do sort of a figure eight in the middle to do that so that I'm not stopping and turning around. So you'll see me do that a few times, and there I'm going to do it right here, keeping that forward motion but changing that direction, and also kind of splitting up that circle so we're not just going round and round the same way the whole time. There's not a lot of space in here at all, especially on Chester because he's huge. So I do like to switch it up on him. Sometimes in a bigger arena, I would do more figure eights. I would really kind of go off in other directions. I would make S shapes, do all kinds of stuff, but I just do not have that room here. So we are going to do some figure eights as our little different thing from the main circle. And I'm just going to go back and forth, trot a few laps to the left, switch in the middle, trot a few laps to the right, and just get him really warm. I think I did this for probably about 10 minutes as well. Now that I've trotted a lot, I'm going to ask him to smoothly transition from that trot into his lope to the left here. And it does take me a while to get him to come down. He starts off very fast and then he will slow down into a nicer lope. Kind of the same thing here. I'm going to try to work on the speed before I work on asking him to put his head down. He kind of, when I ask him to slow down, automatically puts his head down here. But he did really good. He's been really, cooped up. He has been able to go out now, which has been great. But it's been really good to get him back into work. He's feeling a lot more like himself. So I'm going to lope until he decides to quit. I can't do that whenever he's in, really, really good shape. We're still working up to that. But he lets me know whenever he is done. So that is what I'm going to do. And I am just going to do some pressure and release. So to slow him down, I kind of just gently squeeze my reins, kind of like you would squeeze water out of a dish rag. I'm not yanking back on him, just very easy. And whenever he comes to me, I will release. I'm gonna kind of always keep a little bit of contact on him, usually, especially right now as we're getting back into the swing of things. But I don't want to just be grabbing on his head the whole time, because then he's just going to get mad. Nobody likes that, and then we're going to have a bad time. So it is all about pressure and release with him. When he is done, he breaks down into a walk, and I'm going to really pet on him. And while I'm trying to walk, you'll see he wants to break into his little trot. He quits doing that in just a minute, but I'm going to walk him down for a little bit, kind of let him catch his breath, and we are going to do that same thing to the right. He was still kind of hot after I let him walk several laps, so I'm going to have him stop and really sit still for a minute and flex both ways and just kind of regroup here. And then we are going to lope to the right, and he was much hotter to the right, so we had to work on that for sure, but he came down really good. He responded well, and we got a nicer lope. We have a lot of work to do. He's been off work for 4 months, so I'm not expecting the world of him. I'm just wanting to get him back in shape and get him back where he was. So he did really, really well and came down really good. Once we were done loping to the right, I stopped and really, really pet on him, told him he did great, really emphasized that to him, and my camera overheated. So now we are on my iPhone camera. So I walked him out again, really pet on him, and then I got him back in that wash rack he loves so much so I could get all of this tack off. And I noticed whenever I was picking his feet before I got on that they were just a little dark, so we are going to put some Duracell in there, and what that is it's a treatment for a thrush, so it's going to make sure if there's anything in his feet, it kills it. I also tried to brush off those saddle marks real quick, and he just loves me so much that he did that for me to clean up. So once that's cleaned up and I kind of tried to brush those saddle marks off, it's time for those hoofs. So we're going to put that thrush treatment in there just to make sure if there's any bacteria or anything in there, it dies, does not cause any kind of problem. Thrush really thrives when it's wet, and it has been really wet. His little turnout's very muddy. It's been super rainy, so it would not surprise me if he had a little touch of thrush going, but we are going to make sure we kill that right now. And Duracell is my favorite. I wouldn't do it too much, but I like to do it every once in a while, and if I ever think any of their feet is just a little stinky or it's black, immediate thrush treatment. So that is what we are going to do right here. once I have that Durasole in all of his feet, I'm going to clip his lead rope back on and get him out of the cross ties. And he is done. We are going to take him back to his stall. We're going to give him a little kiss that he loved so much. And then I'm going to fill up his hay bag. So there is Zorro also getting a little snack as well. Everyone was in because of the weather. And there Chester is just becoming one with his alfalfa bag, of course. And now it is time to go get Dakota so we can take him for a ride as well. And we have to haul him to an indoor. We went and picked Dakota up from the barn he is at. It is super rainy, so I was not able to video us loading him or me hooking up the trailer. So we are getting all my tack into this covered arena so I can ride him, and then I will video me tacking him up. I was hoping it would be done raining, but it is still raining out there. So today we're just going to exercise him. I'm kind of trying out another bit for the barrels. I want to go a little lighter on him. So I'll probably just warm him up, give him a little exercise, and then lope him through the barrels in the other bit. So warm him up in my normal practice bit, and then lope through in a bit I'm trying. Don't know if it's gonna work. Lighter than what I have, and it has a different mechanics to it. So we're just gonna see what happens there. Just a nice light ride. Chester got a really good workout this morning, which I love. Actually got sweaty for the first time, so that's good, getting him back in shape. And we're just gonna do a nice little ride on Dakota. He's got a giant stain. Yeah. We may not be able to really get it out. It's kind of stinky too. Getting you a little bit more presentable, but not much. I ain't got time for that. Does it look any better?
I mean, it's blended in, maybe a little. You pretty much need the water hose for that.
I know. Now that I have that stain a tiny bit better with that little curry, I'm going to take my hard brush and go over pretty much his whole body, kind of working from his neck back, really focusing on where my tack goes, just like we did for Chester. My brushes are in my Amazon storefront, by the way. Do you want to know what they are? I had someone comment. He got a new halter, but he's wearing the old one because it's raining. I worked on his tail the other day, but he's always getting stuff in it, so there's stuff in it. Once Dakota is brushed to my liking, we are going to start saddling him up. And he does wear the same tack that Chester just wore, but a lot of time kind of went between these two. So the saddle pad had pretty much dried. Thankfully, Dakota was probably not that mad at me about it. I'm going to do those cinches loosely. And they are able to both wear the same size saddle, which is really lucky for me. I've had them both fitted. This is the size they both wear, which is just coincidental. If either one of them needed a different size, I would do that. But I am able to share that saddle between them. Nice and dusty. Practice boots. Braiding his hair in the winter when I can't clean it always makes my hands disgusting. Give him a bath. He's no longer green. Okay, bud. Now we're going to hop on, so I'm going to put my helmet on, and then I will tighten up those cinches just like we did with Chester. He probably blew some air up in his stomach and let it out before I got on. So I'm going to tighten those cinches right before I hop on, and we are going to go walk. And I walked several big laps on him. I did not ride with my phone, so I didn't set a timer, but these laps were really big, and I did a few each direction, making sure he was really warm and really ready to go before I asked him for a trot. When I asked Dakota to trot, I am going to post the trot on him, and he kind of likes to look around at everything when we first start going. Even though he just looked at everything at a walk, we're going to look at everything again at the trot as well. And I'm going to trot these really big laps on him, the same laps we just walked, getting him really stretched out and doing a nice little trot on him. I think I trotted about 2 laps each direction, and to change the direction, I went through the center of the arena and I switched diagonals about halfway through in the middle of the arena. When I was done trotting, I broke him down to a walk, really pet on him, and let him catch his breath for a minute. And then we are going to lope some smaller circles in the middle of the arena. There's still some pretty good size circles. This is a large arena, so I'm going to use about half of this space, maybe a little less than half, going through the middle and kind of behind that third barrel back there. Just really asking for a calm lope. I'm not asking him to put his head down. I'm just letting him stretch and kind of choose what he wants to do. I'm not going to micromanage him or anything, and we're just going to lope some normal plain old circles here. And there were other people riding, and someone wanted to do the barrels, so I had been loping a little bit, but I broke down to a walk and kind of got myself out of the way and hung out over in the corner for a little while. That way they could do the barrels without worrying that they were going to run into me while I was loping circles in the middle of the arena. So we went, chilled in the corner, and then when they were done, we went back and loped our last circles. I think I didn't realize how much I had loped originally, so I went back, loped to the left, and I'm loping kind of smaller circles than we did just a minute ago. Again, other people are riding, so I wanted to stay in the center as best as I could. I went to the left. We're gonna lope for a while, really getting him warm, getting him a really good workout, petting on him while we go, letting him kind of keep his head up and stretch out and everything in this nice little controlled circle here. And then I think I did stop. I know I asked him for a hard stop this direction. I only ever do one hard stop per workout usually. That's pretty hard on them, so I don't like to do it a whole lot. But if I do it, I just do it one direction during that workout. You can see I'm loping for quite a while, wanting to make sure he is really warm. I'm not running the barrels at all, but I do want to make sure he is really warm to lope the barrels. There's the hard stop. All I did was say, whoa, I didn't really pull back. And then I'm going to go and finish loping to the right. When I was done loping, I put the bit I'm trying out on him and walked him through the barrels. He has a very straight style, so he's going to go past the barrel and snap back on the back side instead of being round all the way around. So that's why it looks a little different than some horses. That's just how he is and how he's trained, and I'm going to do that on all 3 barrels. It'll look a little different on the second and third just because the angle, it's different going into it than it is going into the first. And once we are done walking through, I'm really making him finish his barrels too, really over exaggerating that space. But once we are done walking through, we will take him for a little lope through. Alright, so we were definitely fighting about the speed a little bit. He wanted to go a lot faster than I wanted to, which made me a little hesitant to push him past the barrels because I did not want him to run. Second was totally my fault, but I feel like he was working really, really good. And when I did pick up my hand, he didn't have a huge reaction, and I was able to leave my hands down, I felt like. So I think we're going to try and do a little run in it and see how it goes. It could not go good at all. Who knows? It felt like he liked it, so we're going to see, and we'll just go from there. I walked him out, and then I'm going to tie him up and get all of this tack off super quick, and we will let him have a little roll in the dirt as well, because he just loves to do that. If you give him the chance to roll, he always will. So once I pulled all of that tack off, here I am talking, of course, yapping away probably about that bit. There he is going for his little roll after I got all that tack off. He really wasn't all that sweaty. He had a really good workout. I felt really good about it. I felt really good about that little lope through. Even though we were fighting about how fast we needed to go, he felt like he was working really good. He got down in the dirt. He could use a step or two past the barrels, but I was a little hesitant about pushing him past them because I really did not want him running. So it was kind of just an awkward, I wasn't really sure what to do there. So we did tip the second, but it felt really good to me. It was still sprinkling. This day was the rainiest day ever, but I'm going to get him out and into the horse trailer so we can get him back to his stall where he's going to have a lot of alfalfa waiting for him. He loaded up so great. I did leave this panel open for him. He is huge and I want to make sure that he can eat that hay bag. So that's why I did that. I'm going to do that butt bar and get both doors shut. Make sure he is secure in there. No doors are going to come open while we are driving down the road.
Kind of dark, but we are all done and heading back to Dakota's barn.
Here he is back in his stall eating dinner. Behind him he has his full slow feed hay chicks hay net hung up, as well as his easy to eat classic equine hay bag hung in the front, both full of alfalfa. He has his dinner in his pan and some more forage on the ground, so he was ready to go to bed for the night and, you know, probably to snack all night really. But he was good, settled in, and ready for bed. And I hope you enjoyed this day with me. We got to go see Chester, and he got a really good ride, and then we got a really good ride on Dakota. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye!